Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, depending on your schedule. We are here today to talk about the firm, which is the seventh workshop, the foundation of knowledge of otherness as an instrument of partnership. And this is the seventh house or the seventh shop that we are talking about. This webinar, it's all on the firm values, on the firm challenge, and on what this area of life means. It is about communication. It is a hair house or a hair shop. We have already spoken here about in the third shop what is this idea of communication towards others based on our friends, on our siblings, in family. But we have not addressed this from the perspective of the communication to someone else different from us, in the sense of communication with a couple, with someone that brings his own ideas, his own energy, his own communication. So this firm, this seven shop, is much to do with being keen to the other energy, to what others say and do. And so it's different from when we are doing a paper, we are writing an essay or even note. We are concerned with what we are feeling, with our own internal communication, our internal needs. If you remember the techniques of the third house, which is the redaction, has to do with newspapers, we are concerned with the message, with what was written, and non-aggressive communication. Try to stat to the other person what is our needs not attended. And this idea is from us to us, is to communicate in order to be satisfied, our interests, our needs be met by the other person. But in the firm, in the seventh workshop, it's not about us, it's not about me, it's not about us, it's about the collective, it's about both of us, it's about me and the other, it's about the needs of the other. So it's not my needs, it's about our needs as a collective one, as two people involved in this relation, in this parcery, in this firm. So the idea of the other, which in the beginning has to do with mirroring, we begin in communicating with someone by mirroring the other person, but in the end is about identity, difference, what I mean, what is my communication, what is my idea, and what is the idea of the other. So this is the base, okay? Communication, but not in a selfish way, but in shared way, because we are in relation workshops. We began the relation workshops with the stage, then we have the clinic, now we have the firm, and we hand this process of relationships with the shared feelings, and the difference and identities of feelings in the therapist. In the therapist and all the areas of therapy, we work with feelings of me and feelings of you, feelings of us, because we have both in relation, in equilibrium. And when we do this, when we make boundaries about what is mine and what is from the other, we are working on the therapist's mentality or mindset. Also, when we are communicating my thoughts, my ideas, and I'm listening and understanding what the other brings to the table, I'm understanding what the other person, the other universe, what is altered to us, brings towards the table. And this is the important message of these shops. The relation shops are connected with identity mingle, with identity respects, and with identity transformation by contact. This idea of different realities being our personal and physical energy, the way we work, our resources, my resources, the resources of other, being my communication and the communication of other, or the feelings, my feelings and the feelings of others, is the basis of relationships. The alter existence is the basis of these shops, not the ego, but the alter. So different from being on ego and getting into essence in the state shop, different from being on our own service to service of others, our resources to resources of others, being on my communication and in the communication of the person which I have the firm, or which I have the parcery, or which I have my relation. It can be a personal relation, intimacy relation, but it can also be a public or a social, or even, as we are in this shop, professional relation. Okay, so this is all these dimensions. And finally, the entanglement of feelings and knowing what is my trauma and what is the trauma of the other. Okay, so these differences are essential to understand what we are talking about here in the firm. So with no further ado, we are going to the next slide of this presentation. 7-shop workshop, the firm workshop concept, which I'm going to be very brief about. Knowing the partnership, what is this proposal, and what are we working here? What are the firm values or the enterprise values, the business values? Knowing our challenge and understanding what is to be worked in this particular area or shop. And finally, industry development techniques, which is part of the program of the firm worker of top, or if you prefer, if you are talking about a firm, it depends on what we are talking but if we are talking about the firm, generally we are talking in the person responsible for this work. So let's get into it. Workshop conscience from the other, and we have here a text from Yandé Albuquerque, and it is about the feeling good on your own identity, okay, as a basis of transformation, because you can't reach the other one if you don't develop and work on your own identity and on your own communication of that identity. So mirroring is just the first step. After mirroring, is important to transmit your own identity and transmute the communication. And that's when you enter and you make a part of that reality. So it's about participation and identity as it is of mirroring the reality around. So executive of top, and that was what I was trying to express earlier on. So the techniques that we are going to share in the end of this presentation have to be with the executive of top, the person responsible for doing the job in the firm. Okay, and so it's important to understand that this is also to do with love and relationship. Okay, so let's start a cycle through 12 shops, which are 12 areas of life. The idea of Zodiac Matrix and the 12 distinct programs are presented here in 12 successive webinars to present coaching course with which it is associated. So this energy, particularly as the energy of Aten, goddess of civitas and justice, protector of democracy, also of have the notion of what is happening, be conscious of reality. Okay, the idea of justice in the sense of giving to anyone what he deserves and making law process due law due processes is much more concerned with making everyone to be heard on their own terms, as it is important in this shop is more the knowledge, the acknowledge of reality, the perception of reality, in order to make the right decision. Okay, so this is more important here than giving someone else something to gain collective peace. Okay, so the idea of collective peace is not very important in this shop. What is important is that the two or more persons that make this parcery, this firm, understand each other and form an active and effective group that will respond to the challenges that are met. Okay, so the most important thing is to have the knowledge of the situation, which is discerning, being discernant about reality. And that is the main point, the main issue here. Okay, so work this armor, balance, and commitment to correction. Because if you are correct by mirroring correctly, and if you are enough intelligent and capable of transmitting and passing your ideas on, certainly you are going to be in that place of knowing exactly what should be done in a correct way. And that is undoubtedly what we pretend in this shop. Okay, so let's work with discernment of reality. This is the basis. Knowing the partnership, actively listen to others, understand where weaknesses, strengths, challenges, and opportunities lie. Suggestion, mentalization, repeating exercises, modeling and recognizing characteristics of excellence administrators should be copied. Embracing difficulties, non-violent internal dialogue, division into stages, small steps, self-care, gratitude, creation of social panorama within the business environment where we do business. Okay, so this idea of a couple of techniques that we can use in order to improve and transform the realities of a partnership. So knowing the partnership, a new type of behavior based on awareness of identity and discernment. Here it is, the idea of discernment. 21 days of repeating impulse control patterns for new communication model. Self-respect, create identity, develop a communication discernment. So this ability to look into things and see exactly what is the right path, but hearing the other by mirroring the reality in order to have your own opinion and communication, it's what develops this discernment. Okay, knowing the partnership is also about this. So permanent active listening through mirroring, communicating, and identity positioning. We have here a hairdresser, and which is an area of partnerships, of enterprises, of firms. And I bring you here The Secret of My Success. It is a movie from the 80s with Michael J. Fox. It was very keen at the time to the executives and personnel who works in the law firms and economical firms and correctors. And it has to do with a mentality of the 80s. We call the UPs for reaction of the hippies and all that movement towards the creating of these firms and the relation status quo of the firms. And that also has a lot of I would say ideology behind it, which is more politics. But at the same time, not going for that space, because I believe that is more of the 10th shop, the parliament. In here, I'm more concerned with the idea of working together. And in this movie, which is obviously a romantic comedy, and it's about romance and comedy, but it's also about how do you build up in a firm, how do you step up in, how do you step in, and how you rise up inside the firm. How do you do these movements? How do you step in, and how do you rise up inside a corporation? And this idea of how to get into a corporation, how to correctly behave, is completely there, because the character of Michael J. Fox, the Whitfield, which has a lot of names because he was always doing a lot of roles in the middle of that need to communicate and to urge his own idea about that firm. But at the same time, this character of Whitfield, which is here enacted by Michael J. Fox, it was very clear in his behavior, the rightness of his communication, his identity, his ideas. The mirroring, it was needed in order to be in his diverse roles in that firm. And how does that character connect? It's about his ability to understand other people around him and respect the identity of each one. If you are if you analyze correctly the movie or the film, you are going to see that he was always correct. He always mirrored the different stages, and he always delivered his own way of communicating what were his ideas, and he accepted and heard what others have to say, but he has his own ideas about reality, which he was compromised to. And this idea of having your own identity, at the same time understanding and accepting the difference of others, is essential to make a new strategy to win. Okay, and that is the basis of this movie. And this is an energy that we have in the communication of the third house, which is the redaction, the newspaper. We have it here, and we'll have it again, because it's her energy when we are in the guild, where we have this, but in a sense of group opinion making and lobbying. So it's interesting because it's the same energy, it's air, it's communication, but in here is the identity to create that paradigm. Okay, so let's see just this clip when Brantley takes Christy to dinner. Okay,
I see you're a workaholic.
they are working until late, and then they decide to go dinner. And this is interesting because we see the mirroring, and we see the positioning, and we see how they react one to each other, and how you can see, how you can be at the same time someone that mirrors the other, who is effective with the other, and at the same time it is masculine enough, so it is feminine in the sense of getting the energy of Christy, give her space, but at the same time be fully control of his own ideas with his masculine energy. So this balance between masculine and feminine is essential to this shop, as it is essential in life. This idea of, in one hand, be as his own honor and values, be dominated and dominate, and being clear on the domination role that has to be to communicate. So dominion, so we have honor, dominion, and finally propose, to know where to go. Okay, so these three values, to have honor, dominion, and purpose, are clear here in this entanglement, in this construction of entanglements between the both of them, until they reach a phase of understanding. And this is interesting. How do you go from conflict to equilibrium? By mirroring in the first step, and then being very assertive on what is your identity and what is your purpose, what you want to change. And there you have it. Honor, we have the dominion, and finally we have the proposal, which is the proposition, what you want to do in that particular situation of the crash of the firm, because they are trying to save the firm, basically.
Look,
Yeah, well, I got a lot of work to do. What are you doing here so late?
oh, I'm a workaholic too.
Wow, you mean we have something in common?
So what's all this supposed to be?
Oh, it's the it's the heart and soul of an idea. You hate it. Expansion in the Midwest, son.
I don't hate it. I just think it's risky. Furthermore, Mr. Prescott doesn't want it. It's a waste of time to pursue it.
But if something's right, how can it be a waste of time?
There is no right or wrong. There is only opinion.
You know, in some states, you can get arrested for saying that.
All right. Convince me. Convince me then that your opinion is the right one.
All right. Take a look at this. And this. And yeah, peruse that.
Oh, why do you keep saying the exact opposite of what I say?
Because you keep saying such stupid things.
Will you take a look at these figures? They prove that the elimination of salaries would create a war chest for the defense of the Penrose Corporation. Can't you see that?
No, I can't. I'll tell you why. Closing those factories and laying off people is just going to send a panic through
That
the...
might happen or that might not happen.
No, it will happen. Look. All right. Close the centers. Put thousands of people out of work. You're going to waste all your profits on unemployment contributions, severance pay, union lawsuits. Are you all right?
My blood sugar's dropping.
What?
It's just my mind wandered in the middle of what you're saying. It means I need food. Do you want to get a bite?
Yeah. Yeah, go on. Buy a dinner.
No. Dutch. Tell me one more time what your solution is to this crisis.
We don't cut. We expand.
I agree. Expansion is a positive reaction to the universe, while retraction or cutting back or pulling off, those are all negative forces. I used to be very negative, and then I took this personality workshop. My whole life turned around. Hiya, my name's Sheila. You make a good-looking couple. How long you been going together?
20 minutes.
Oh, first date, huh? Good luck.
No, we're business colleagues.
Colleagues, who needs that? You should go together. You look. Did you want to order?
Yeah. Well, that's what ideas. Yes.
E efetivamente estávamos aqui a ver o filme e depois não falávamos então dos... Okay, so we are seeing the film here and we forget the value, the firm values. And I forget that I was speaking in English and then I changed for Portuguese. So, so instinct, mirroring, sharing, marital and partnership responsibility. So, getting to the core of what we are talking here about, instinct, ability to execute appropriately and assertively, figuring out what to do and what measures to take when requested. This is the first value that we must work as a core basis of this mindset. Mirroring is the ability to observe and copy external movements and identify them. And sharing is positioning moments where you make your identity clear and how you want to see and be understood by others. So these four movements of values are essential. Because when you are making the communication in this shop, it is important that you have this instinct. We have spoken about the need to be attentive to reality and to know exactly what to say, at the same time discerning exactly what to say, being discernant. So this instinct has to do with this ability to be discernant. At the same time, the mirroring the ability to see and observe the others and copy their movement in order to be more diplomatic in the way you communicate. Then you share, and in sharing you have the identity positioning, is where you make your stand, is where you say exactly what you want to say. And finally, you have this responsibility in partnership that is the service of others. Communicating your intention is openly, is also accepting their intentions openly and respond to them. And this is to put the good of the firm first. This means that sometimes you are seduced by the ideas of others, sometimes your ideas seduce the others. What it must be essential is to be responsible in what you are saying and doing, and understand that it is bound, it is a decision that you are going to make, and after you have positioned yourself and the other person positioned themselves, it is needed to have a common ground. And this common ground, it's only possible if you continue this communication and this identity in a continuous process. The paradox of Abilene, it's many times referred as an example where, by the way, if you read about it, Abilene paradox, you will read about this situation where a couple of guys were deciding on to take the road or not take the road to save some money in order to build up a countryside, or to improve the building of a countryside, something like that. So they were having an argument, a discussion in what they should or shouldn't do. In the middle of that discussion, of that dispute, part of the persons that were discussing, that part that was not they were not in consonance, they were not being exient to that the ideas, into that principle that they should go out reaching for the materials. They changed their position, they mirroring the position, but they didn't share, they didn't put their identity, they didn't use their arguments, and because they were much seduced by the arguments of the other. So this idea that sometimes we don't do what we should or we feel we should do and communicate in order to satisfy the others, it's risky, and sometimes that is failing on responsibility and accountability with the partnership. So marital responsibility and partnership are very similar in that way, because depending on the context, we can be in a marital context or in a firm context. Much of time when we are having arguments and having entanglements, what happens is that most of times we take positions not for what we believe it is correct, but much more for what the other one wants from us. And when we do this, generally we lose our grip, and generally this is also bad for the firm, for both of us. So the idea that communicating our own identity will save you or will save the day of the firm, it's actually true, and it is a basic principle. Okay, so this responsibility of being able to be at the service of others and communicate your intentions and wishes openly in order to put good of the firm first is a basic rule, and it has to do with sharing. It has to do to contain the mirroring process when it is not serving the best interests of the firm. And it also has to do with having the instinct to know what is the best interest. And that comes from the value you give to the parcery, to the firm, and to its results. So, firm values, find fundamentals, businessman code, instinct, mirror, sharing, solidarity, ability to manage in an adaptive way, adaptively, never stop listening and sharing, adapting the management rhythm to the challenge, developing internal vision, permanently adapting to internal and external obstacles, with an intelligence in movement, developing the automatic discernment of the mind for the survival to external and internal threats, through an increasing awareness of the responsibility of sharing and acceptance. And I give some examples: developing criteria in choosing and adapting the business project to the desired final result. So in this particular passage of the movie Secret of My Success is reaching to have some partners to implement his ideas. So reaching partners, state your opinion, gain with communication, new parseries, new ways of deblocking any kind of difficulty or entanglement of your firm is the basis of success. Really, I think this is the bottom line of the movie, okay? The secret of my success is to do with these meeting future partners, how to address, how to communicate what you want. And once more, if you have those values, if you have your own domination and ground, and at the same time you have a clear proposal of what you want, it is very, very easy to gain the attention, at least, of the partners, the future partners. And this will change the game, okay? This is the basis. Of course, this is also a work of mirroring previous, of instinct previous, and when you are in the phase of sharing and having this solidarity, you are truly in this mode of making connections. And this is the basis of the shop, okay? So self-care, knowing yourself, markets, human capital is the basis. Taking care of your exterior and interior image in order to gain more purpose, knowing your position, knowing yourself, overcoming fear of speaking in public, create social environment within the company, create correct mental map of abundance, knowing how to succeed with few resources within the company, and of course, being able to portray in communication what you feel and what you incorporate.
I think Whitfield is right and this report is wrong.
Okay, so not going to see the movie. You can see the movie later on when I put the slides of the PowerPoint on the site. So know your challenge. Understand the communication that moves other human beings, self-knowledge in others, knowledge of challenge of oneself, knowledge of mental field, knowledge of intrinsic and extrinsic conditions, knowledge of mental conditions, principles of self and other, frontality and humility to adapt, mentalization of communication for excellence, and victory over oneself, okay? So you have to listen in self-knowledge through a model of mental and communicational transformation and master the Sun Tzu laws, the 5 principles to the moment to show your identity. Okay, so the moment to show your identity and the way you do it is vital. Okay, develop mental intelligence from knowledge of thoughts, direction of feelings, change of mentality, and model of world to release the transformative air of physical agility to do so. growth through constant adaptation of the mind through the body. So the body is your instrument in order to communicate. So the TEP, Top Executive Program, Industry Development Techniques, Reality of Relationships, and of Parceries, Perspective of Pragmatism, Postmodern. These are themes based on the study of reality nowadays in the industry. Also the pragmatism once more, relationship of psychological perspective. Also the instinct, creation, social context, the sexual market value. Okay, so this technique, why is here? It has to do with image, public image. As you know, everyone has a sexual market value, and that determines the being heard or not heard by someone. If you have a high sexual market value, if you are considered, if you are someone important in society, you will be heard. If you are not, you are not going to be heard. So improving your sexual market value, and remember that when we talk about honor, dominion, and this particular one, dominion, has to do with the sexual market value, is important for your proposal be considered. If you are trying to present your position and try to develop your firm, your idea for the firm from a position of weakness, you are not going to achieve what you want. Okay, so this is important to do. Requirement, transparency is the first requirement, deliver to other, loyalty, and it is important that you also understand the influence of bureaucracy and erotic psychology. And why is this here? Because when you are in a firm, it could be a couple, it could be as a profession, this is very important. The way you work must be clear, must be transparent, so the bureaucracy must be surpassed as the erotic idea. Okay, so it's not about seduction for seduction, as it is in the fifth shop, is for creating something, because this communication that we develop in the firm is to make business and good business. Then we talk about the greed, envy, and vanity, and why this is important here in this context, why we should control greed, envy, and vanity in order to achieve excellence. Also, ego negotiations, because many times we are dealing with the egos, and we must surpass the egos to go to the essence of what we are doing in any business we have, even in our particular life, and even in a couple life, okay? Conjugal or marital life. The compulsion for control, how do we understand this reality? The possessivity, which is also something which is very common here, as it is in the second house. Destroying myths, the myth of happiness, stability, external passion, loss of freedom, all these are myths. What is a utopia and how it can be used to construct something? We live in a world of narratives. So if we construct a good utopia, a good narrative, we can win battles easier, okay? Difference in possession of biological line, money, role reverse, roles of woman and man, absence of purpose. And this role of woman and man is also to do with feminine and masculine energy and how to use it in a firm. Understand love, because also the dimension of love. Heroes without masks, philautia, which is the self-love. Logical orthodox on the pasture, which is a very interesting illustration of how we behave in society. Increasingly intensity, and this logic of ox in the pasture is very important for not sleeping in the momentum. Okay, slow relationships, implement of faith in marital relationship. Why we are always talking about matrimony and marital? Because this house is also to do with commitment, and commitment can be in the firm environment, professional one, or in the particular one. Remember that this shop is also for people that don't want to develop a firm or a business, but want to use these techniques in his own family, in his marriage. These communication techniques that we use for firms are also applicable on a marriage. Okay, so treat your relationship like a mirror: compatibility, lapidation, honor principles, emotional support, prudence, understanding and demonstration, compatible allies when we are in wars between firms, equality, sacrifice. And remember that we are in the house of friendship, but also of friends in that sense, but also in the house of declared enemies. Because when we define our own identity and when we define the identity of a firm, of course, that firm is not alone in the world, and it will defy other firms. So it's the base of that defying with the identity. Okay, so understand that peace and war are not are different momentums in our voyage towards creating a firm in our path. But at the same time, this is a technique or techniques that simultaneously serve peace and simultaneously serve fight. Okay, so this is also important to say. Fights and quarrels, and I was talking about fights and quarrels. Natural selection, pragmatism. Once more, always the pragmatism as the basis of the doctrines and principles of these techniques of the seventh shop. The best way to start relationships or relations or parceries or firms, various rewarding values to be cultivated. Okay, so these are the industry development techniques: growth levels: individual, co-working, partnership, company, quarterly company, anonymous society, conglomerate of companies. Look into the mirror and look outside the mirror. So be able to describe in order to build a partnership and business. Okay, these are two final scenes from the movie The Secret of Mike's Success. The first one is when they discover they are betraying one another and they are all betraying, because we have two couples here. This is basically a soap opera, but they discover the betrayals and how to react to the betrayals. And how do they surpass that into the happy ending when they took the firm based on values that are not material, but values of humans' rights and of human respect, because the basis of a firm is the human respect. And if you gain the human, if you gain the personal, you can always count that the difficulties will be surpassed. If you fail to retain the human value and you just analyze statistics and results, it is almost certain that that firm will collapse. It will not succeed. So the basis of any firm is the human factor, and it is essential to continue to speak with humans that incorporate your business. And that is essential, that communication happens, and you must respect everyone for his contribution and individuality in the firm. So the respect for every one of the workers in a firm is essential. All the collaborators of the firm must be respected because they share that firm and the objectives of that firm. And that is the basic idea that we want to develop with these techniques, putting the human factor first of the economical one. Okay, we are not in the second shop. We are not dealing with resources, material resources. We are dealing, if you want to say, with human resources. And human resources imply to know people and to respect their identities and make them an exit. And an exit, as you know it from the second shop, is something that is value in itself, and it brings value over value. Okay, so work people in order to become them creative to the firm by their identity and by what they bring of difference, okay? Valorization of human value in the firm, okay? This is essential. And
Bradley, Christie, Jean, Melrose. Gentlemen, just in time, Mr. Prescott and his aide have disrupted a very important meeting. Would you please escort them out of the building?
You're, no, why, this open hostility, I don't understand. That's all.
Would you take charge of the meeting now, Ben?
Excuse me.
and you will see the with the okay, so we get to the end of this presentation. You'll have opportunity to see the movies, except the movies scenes if you watch the basically the PowerPoint sets that I will put in the site. So you can then check the different scenes. By now, I'm just going to say to you that I'm very pleased that you've been watching this presentation. My deepest gratitude for being here with me, and I hope to see you soon in the program. And as I say to you, go to the site and see the different tools that you have already there. I will put there this presentation, also this webinar, also the different instruments as the PowerPoint, where you can watch the fully and with time the movies steps. Okay, and with that excerpts, and with that you can also understand better what we are doing here. Okay, so see you next time, and bye.